The torn worlds bested through my poems. When one lives between worlds, one lives in tugging continents of a mindscape, and with the panoramic view of the worlds, living in them mostly simultaneously and, at times, alternatively. Migrant, refugee, indigenous, or expatriate, they are all jumbled up in this conundrum. The physicality moves in one world, the psyche sprawls as a vast and borderless net. It is a dual belonging. Some would describe it as a tearing. It depends on whether you have embraced partial reality or want it all, which is impossible. In this, home becomes a complex argument, as it too assumes those trusting dimensions. In my interview with BBC TV in 1982, the interviewer probed into one of my poems. Here is the poem, entitled Home. Only if Abhimanyu knew, the name of the seventh war zone is London, and there is no way back to the womb. If Krishna knew, he refrained in silence. As the story unfolds in the great epic Mahabharata, there are 7 great strategic and circular formations of the war zones on a battlefield. Krishna, unaware that Arjun's son, Abhimanyu, still in the womb, was listening to his tricks to be victorious in that, suddenly realized, and hence, to effect the outcome he wanted in the future Mahabharata, he stopped in time not to part with the secret of the 7th zone. When a battle takes place there, Abhimanyu dies. My poem casts London in that 7th zone, indicating there is no escape from its reality. The physical home, London, is a trap, and that is where one's story ends. You cannot return to its beginning because it has already happened, and the rest is a mind game. The interviewer asked if there was any hope of home for such vagrant as us. I said the answer lies in finding the place for you to belong. It never resolves completely, but brings a concord in life. To remove the tearing between the worlds, one needs to work on this aspect of belonging. I was pleased that GCSE coursework for the EdUxCell syllabus recently in 2019 introduced an anthology for the school examinations with the title Belonging, bringing together poems from various angles on the same theme, past and present, creating a debate around it. My narrative also assumes a powerful history. This essay canoes you through its wild Thunder River. A poem entitled Disenfranchised. A near miss, not one of midnight's children, an African, an Indian, and the British citizen, the all-in-one child, orphaned by the Nile, forsaken by the Thames, abandoned by the Ganges, sings in a school assembly, asserts he is loved by history. He salutes the flag, muttering, "And who are you exactly?" Blight's reed warbler, an olive-backed pipit, with sky under their wings, sit on a pole with thoughts of nests far across the sea. The child learns from them the sky, paces like a cage bird. Someone opens the cage. Bloody British. The child jets off clutching his British passport, only to be rediscovered as an alien. Haunted still by the rhythm of Idi Amin's army boots, Nehru's bogus promise, "Hum Nehru Chacha ke pyare," we are the children Nehru uncle loves. He meets Wilma the Thames well, watches in desperation her rescue, then bones, wondering in which museum he would leave the Nehru Chacha child's bone. Defeated, he wanders dazed, muttering, "We are apostrophes. We are the bones. We are the bones." We are the bones. Well and I. Salman Rushdie plays on the idea of children born when the clock strikes midnight for India to become an independent nation. Those midnight children may have carried hopes to find a different India to meet the dreams promised by Jawaharlal Nehru, India's first Prime Minister. But what happens to someone like me who was born outside of India? An Indian African child transported to India may sing a patriotic celebration as much he likes in a classroom, but the Indian heritage disintegrates in a parental rejection. And that's why the line, "Someone opens the cage," bloody British. The unreal alternative of being British haunts the child. Suddenly, the meaning of home gets into a big muddle. For me, it is not where I was born, nor is it where my heritage came from, and nor where my citizenship became a leech at birth. While schooled in India, the memory of singing a song of India and pledging a loyalty to Nehru, as in Hum Nehru Chacha Ke Pyare, both emerge in this poem as a game with my heritage. Birds appear as Pied Pipers of Hamelin, a poem from the faraway land I belong to beckons. Such is the pool of places tangled in reality and psyche. It goes to show how one can be an outsider when one is an Indian in India. Bloody British is a line to show that belonging differs from home. To cap it all, an image of a museum in the poem represents a London resting place for a displaced child's bones. Bloody Indian. Heritage and childhood memories do not make a home. Yet the poem shows where you may belong, though not perhaps in a way you envisaged. Where can also be a journey of a lost well. The metaphor of the Thames well is a powerful reminder of losing the way and rejections. This leads on to what I have called a quest for belonging, to reconcile with one's home, even as a brutal reality. We are apostrophe, we are the bones. The apostrophe is an elided space holding open a disappearance. Bones on display in a museum have no physicality or flesh that feels. I often question if this is an exile or inflicted banishment. Maybe it is a punishment and not a curse, a punishment of being born without the context of belonging to a place. You belong, but only as a bone, a leftover, as a display for study or a giggle. Rather than write about this complex existence, I feel the poem expresses this more powerfully. Most observers and students of diversity do not grasp what else also happens in such driftwood journeys. We were anchored in the clear waters of Seychelles in our torturous migration from Mombasa in East Africa to Bombay. As an 8-year-old child, sent by parents on my own, I still remember the driftwood that had lost its home. Here is a poem entitled "To Write What the Tree Couldn't." When I witnessed the log adrift, mid-ocean with no schema, shivering, torn apart between two lands, on the deck of SS Karanja, I learnt my first lesson as a child. Even the trees don't know where they would end up one day. They say there is an adventure in the unknown, but the child always wants to know. Clutching the British passport in the Harmondsworth detention center cell, sitting on a squeaking bed, watching the pencil of light reaching my feet, I knew there was a hole in the walls they had erected. It was up to me to hold that pencil, a feather without a bird. write what the tree adrift in the sea couldn't. I was an adult now. Like driftwood, one cannot give up a feeling of uselessness, a constant craving for belonging, and the knifing sense of desertion. If the reed warblers drew me to the land of citizenship, it did not grant me the acceptance of total sense of belonging. Not that I did not want to belong. The roots of the problems are in Enoch Powell's words. The West Indian or Asian does not, being born in England, become an Englishman. Forget the one born elsewhere as a citizen. In my poem, A Big Welcome, I am expressing cynicism to be estranged Thames well to highlight how one feels in such unwelcoming waters. I suppose this meeting takes place as bones, as in my poem above. But here is the poem. A Big Welcome. There is nothing new in feeling alienated in your own cold home. Welcome to the Thames. Its heart isn't big enough. It's your new cold home. One day we will meet. We will compare notes. This is a poem from my collection Swimming with Whales. To my peril, and with permanent dismissal by the British literati, I have written about racism, a subject forbidden in poetry, and enough to make one a persona non grata. While someone is knifed in the street out of racist hate, the literati tell us that racism is a well-milked old subject and it is tiring. Yet, love goes back to the beginning of social evolution. Editors in England are reluctant to publish poems on this theme. This too reflects why the sense of belonging remains remote. All this adds to a denial of home to people born in one country, of the heritage of another country, and supposed to be of yet another country. Play your game of imagination. If there is a game of whale watching, there is also a game of immigrant watching. In this game, I have become a strange sighting, as per the title of one of my poems. It concludes with these lines. A house away from home, a stranger in own home, a house that is still a passport, with no meaning to born British. I do watch often the video, well escorted out of the Thames, never returning home. Yogesh Patel, A Strange Sighting. Again, another poem from Swimming with Whales. This fate is certain. No matter how far you go in the newly set up home, it is a confined space. You are a different color. You are a distinct religion. Your country of origin is perceived from your color. Passport is not your skin. That is your context. You are a strange sighting, and you will remain one. Yet one has to create one's own sense of ownership, as in my following poem, in which the denials and dismissal necessitate asserting oneself through one's cultural wealth. Typical Mr. Patel's typical promotion. Mr. Patel, you are blah blah blah. But, in bracket, may I ask you to spell it correctly? I'm only an Indian after all. Bracket over. Can you fill this form for equal opportunity? Is to allow us to monitor, you know what. Thank you. We'll let you know in due course. In bracket, never. Mr. Patel, sorry, you were one of the two selected. But, in bracket, hell, you smell of masala. Bracket over. Try again next year, in the bracket, and the year after, and after, and after. Bracket over. Thank you for your interest in our company. The calf butted the oak. Mr. Patel bought the company and promoted himself. This is a poem from Bottled Ganges. The poem plays with the baggage that sticks to us and comes to haunt us as difference manifest. However, to conclude and to answer the question raised by the BBC interviewer quoted earlier, asking if there is any hope of home, I can say there is hope. There is also a positive side in being an alien to the country of your origin. As a migrant, you are in a unique space of identity. If otherwise you would not have been noticed in the crowd, you could find yourself uniquely recognized by the opportunities you now have as a migrant. Just as the unknown whale from the vast sea emerges in the Thames to enjoy superstardom through the media as the Thames whale Wilma, migrant could be nobody in the land they come from, but can take the advantage of equal opportunities to become a somebody here. As you are a creature of two worlds, you could enjoy importance in both countries, both worlds. If the sea for a whale is a home left, the Thames is a home found. Hence I wrote this small poem entitled Being Somebody. In the end, it only proves you were noticed, named, only when you left home. That is why, while I write this, I'm very hopeful and positive about my confusing aspects. Thank you.